Hi, you guys. It is Thursday, December 2nd, 2021. Um, and this is how we know that the poor, dear, delightful Barbara Walters is with us only in body. Um, when Kathy Griffin's booked on The View, and it's not a big deal, we know that poor Ms. Walters is probably not with us anymore mentally, which is unfortunate. I mean, I'm just assuming she hasn't been seen in public in years, and she'd be enjoying her retirement if she could be. And so, anyway, that's all very sad, and it's terrible for the person going through it. It's terrible for the people who have to be caregivers for someone who's no longer here, but they're still kicking. Anyway, so she's talking about her being on the new season of Search Party, which is a show that I love, but every season it's like, well, it's over. They can't come back from that, and yet they find some weird and wacky way to do it, and it still remains compelling. I can never say Aaliyah Shawkwat's name. I don't know how to say it. I mean, I know her when I see her, and I can see the letters, but I have no idea how her name is supposed to be pronounced. She was maybe on Arrested Development. Anyway, so I look forward to the new series of Search Party, as well as Kathy Griffin's portrayal of a conspiracy theorist. And so she's talking about all the research that she's done for conspiracy theorists. And I just think the reason that they become so popular is that, for the people that really don't have a lot of, rational thinking, cognitive ability, the things they no longer teach us in school about, clear and rational thought, and having, the ability to conclude for oneself, based on logic and reason. It's whether it's just told to you or not. And the whole idea that now that if you believe it, it's the truth, which is just maddening. And goes back to the whole war on education from the Republicans forever and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so, I was thinking about conspiracy theorists, because they pick on things that you can't necessarily prove aren't true. Like, they believe that JFK Jr. is coming back from the dead. I don't have a death certificate. I don't think his body was ever recovered. So there's they've got this little nugget of stuff that says, hey, you can't tell me it's not going to happen. No, I'm like 100% sure it's not. And they just, they choose things and they twist things, and their cognitive dissonance is so palpable. Like, I know that elephants do not climb and hide in trees, but they would tell you that that's because the elephants are that good at it. I read that on Twitter a while ago, and I thought that was genius. Okay, because you can't see them, so they're really good at hiding. So you'd have to climb all the trees to make sure the elephants aren't there. Like, it's really hard to deprogram a conspiracy theorist, because their answer and their belief is so hardwired into them just believing it, without having any fact to support it, but not having enough facts to actually dissuade it. So it's a weird phenomenon. And I can sort of understand that once people sort of start to believe in in an idea, in a theory, how they can sort of fall down a rabbit hole believing the next one and the next one and the next one that just get more and more outrageous. You know, I'm not even going to go into you know, my theories about major events, but you know, we did land someone on the moon, but they don't think we did. Or did we? It's just it's an odd phenomenon to me that people sort of go around through this whole existence. The ones that I don't understand, though, like I can understand where they, you know, they sort of lose their cognitive abilities to rationalize anything that's the truth, that actually has fact and proof. The ones that I can't get my head wrapped around are flat earthers. Like that's, you can see the curvature of the earth if you go up high enough. And where does it end? Like, what's, like, how do I just don't understand how they explain the getting all the way around the world. Is it just a flattened globe, so it exists on two sides and gravity pulls us towards the middle of it? Then it's just a deflated you know, globe? Or is it just one surface? And then how do you get to what happens when you get to the edge of it? And where is the edge of it? I don't, that one I just cannot fathom how anyone can believe that. How do planes work? Like, how do they justify air travel that goes all the way around the world? I don't know. And the movement of the sun, what's actually the movement of the earth around the sun? I don't understand how they explain why the sun is in a different spot in the sky. I don't understand any of them. I'm reminded of a group called the Creations that had settled in the Gulf Coast of Florida in, I think, the early 1900s. And they did not believe in procreation. They had, you know, like men all stayed in one spot, women all stayed in another spot. And they, you know, when they came to the church with their children, they had a school and they took care of the children. But the whole idea is that they didn't believe in procreation. So they were like because they thought the world was going to die. They also thought the world was flat. But they thought the world was going to die out. So they didn't want to bring more people into the dying world. So they're sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy that, you know, they will die out. But I just thought it was interesting because, you know, sexual urges take over and babies get made. And so they, you know, they would just sort of pass off these pregnancies as the act and will of God. You know, negating the entire theory that they had and the tenets that they lived by. But well, it happened, so, you know, we'll accept that as God's children. Okay. It's just weird. Although, you know, I don't really understand most religions. I think it's important to have, you know, a belief system, and whether that's a belief system outside of yourself or not, that's up to you. There, you know, the whole idea of faith is very important. Faith and hope, they are the things that carry you to the future. But I don't have a very strong affinity for organized religion because it has, you know, been the cause of strife and war and poverty and oppression since humans invented it. So that I'm not a fan of. And aren't all of the Greek and Roman gods really just a different version of conspiracy theories? You know, there's some guy up there who's throwing thunderbolts at you, and some lady who pushes you into love. Whatever. Anyway, I was happy to see Kathy Griffin, even though she was raspy voiced and talking about really difficult things, but in a joyful way. I think those conversations are really important. When you're having a mental crisis, you should be able to talk about it openly. And it doesn't. The big thing is no one knows how to then be around someone who is ill, whether it's physically ill or mentally ill. There's some sort of like, we have to have compassion face all the time. No, you just treat them like normal. Let them talk about their issues. You don't have to constantly bring it up to them. But people who are having physical or mental problems don't need you to remind them every day or every minute. Offer help. Throw in, an unsolicited piece of assistance, but nobody wants the pity.